Hello, fourth graders. I am so excited to be with you today. I'm actually going to build what we're calling a biorama, which is a diorama, but because we're studying biomes and the Greek word root bios means life, why not call it a biorama? Thank you, Mr. Matt. Although I did go on Pinterest and found that other people have been calling this a biorama for quite some time. This is a classic craft activity that you can do to reinforce your knowledge of the biomes. It's tons of fun. So I'm actually really excited to do this with you. Remember, I'm not the most crafty of individuals on some things, but I'm going to do my very best to show you how I am going to create a biome today for you. This is going to be a grassland biome, and it's going to be the American Great Plains. And I'm actually going to get even more specific and talk about the northern part of the American Great Plains. And yeah, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and talk about dioramas and this biorama project. So I have a shoebox left from my son. He's 10 and a half. His feet are almost as big as mine. And so what I did with this shoebox is I decided I'm going to use the whole thing. You could cut off the lid and use that, but I want to present my biome like this. So what I'm going to do first is think about how I'm going to build it. And of course, you know I've thought about it. And the first thing I want to do is I want to lay out my primary producer. In the Great Plains, there are over 450 species of grass. This green construction paper is going to represent my grass. Okay, if you can see that there. Sorry for the shadows. I think you get the point. And so I'm going to start using a glue stick here. I'm going to glue this down. Start with my grass. Make sure I have plenty of glue. Get those edges. Never want the edges to pop out. Always. And just have a little fun there. All right, so this is going to be my grass part of my biome. Like I said, I was looking this up. There are over 450 species of grass in the North American Great Plains. So I'm going to leave this like this. I may put this on here to dry it real quick. Push it down. Okay, so in the Northern Great Plains there are also some forests, and so I'm still working on my primary producers, which of course are plants. Organisms that get their energy from the sun and create their own food. And so what I've done is I've gathered up some tree models, and you can get these at Michael's. You can get these anywhere. You can order these online through Amazon. And I'm going to go ahead and put the forest at the back of my biome. They're going to kind of be at the setting there. And I'm going to use the hot glue gun to do that. I'm going to randomly put them in my biome here. They're a forest. Okay. Having fun with my hot glue gun here. Remember, kids, hot glue safety is always something you got to think about. Make sure you aren't going nuts with your hot glue. So now I've got my trees, but let me hold them up. Got my trees back there. I know that's kind of hard to see, but they're there. The shadows. There you go. There you go. You see them. Trees back there. So what I'm going to do is I decided to make a background, and hopefully I can still get this background in. Yes, I can. Probably should have done the background first, but it's okay. Remember, not always at the best at these things. So my orange background is going in. My biome. And there we have my orange background. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of my glue stick here to make sure I get it glued down properly. Again, probably should have done that first, but guess what? I like to improvise anyway. So I'm putting the orange down. Orange has been glued down. Dear Lord, I keep dropping my biome now. So I've got my orange sky because I've decided that this is going to be kind of a sunset, and I've created purple and purple strips here. One of the great things about nature is that sometimes you find combinations that you don't see otherwise. Purple and orange oftentimes will show up in nature on a nice sunset. So I'm going to glue them down. My little wispy purpley clouds here. Okay. So beautiful, wispy purple clouds. Extra credit if you can tell me what kind of clouds are the wispy ones. Gluing that down. Okay, so I've got my wispy purpley clouds, and now I'm going to put the sun at the horizon that is setting. I thought that would be a nice touch. So it's a nice red sun that is setting there. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that very well. Hopefully you can. There's my red sun. And so now I've built my forest and my grass, my 450 species. Now I've got to go to my primary consumer. Well, primary consumer of grass on the Great Plains are wild horses. And the funny thing is wild is a bit of a misnomer. Horses, actually, when they came over during the Columbian Exchange, had been domesticated, and they became what are called feral. So a feral animal is an animal that was once domesticated that has sort of returned to a wild state. And the Mustangs, or the wild horses of America, are technically feral because they are descended from horses that were brought here during the Columbian Exchange by the Europeans. Remember, to domesticate an animal means to make sure that you tame an animal to either live or work with humans, and this often creates a sense of dependency, and a domestic animal will lose their ability to survive in the wild because they are so used to living with humans and being provided for. But be that as it may, I've got lots of wild horses here to put on my Great Plains. Okay. And by the way, just as a little geographical note, the Great Plains extend from parts of northern Texas all the way up into Canada, covering Kansas, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota. They connect to the Midwest on the east side, and they connect to the Rocky Mountains on the west side. And that is going to be our American Great Plains. So I'm going to start putting my horses. I'm going to put glue on their little hooves. Don't worry, kids. They're just plastic. It's not actually hurting these horses. But I do have to glue them down. I'm going to have my horses running. I'm probably not going to use all of my horses because here's a little guy. I may run out. Horses here. Ooh, this one. Look at this one. He's got a different color mane. Maybe this is our leader. Stallion leader here. Okay. wild horses on the Great Plains, and I'm even more specific talking about the northern Great Plains where there's connections to forests, South Dakota, Kansas, Nebraska. There's another reason why I wanted to use this one, because I'm going to talk about the secondary consumer of this group, which is going to be a mountain lion or a cougar. And I did my research. These do, in fact, go after and try to eat horses sometimes. Another horse. And I think that's about enough. Got to save some of these horses for our Mongol work. So I pick up my diorama. Look at it so far. I've got my primary producer, which is the grass, and I've got my primary consumer, which is the horse. Okay, and I've got my wispy purpley clouds on an orange background with the setting sun at twilight with a forest in the background. And now I've got to work with my secondary consumer, my cougar or my mountain lion. And the cougar or the mountain lion is going to be coming after them this way. Gonna make it look like they're running from him. But the secondary consumer, in this case, is a carnivore. He will be going after them. He may get that little one at the end there. You guys can see my cougar there in the background. There he is. He's starting to chase those wild horses. That actually looks pretty good. I was not expecting this to turn out this well. But if you notice, we've got all three. We've got the primary producer, the grass, the green there. We've got the horses, which are the primary consumer. And then we have that secondary consumer, which is going to be that mountain lion or cougar. So I have created a model of an American Plains biome, but I do want to do a little bit more work on it. So I've decided that I'm going to put a label on it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to glue this label on it that says American Great Plains. And I'm going to go ahead and put that to the top there. You'll see once I do it how I did it. Plenty of glue. My glue stick here. Okay. And the reason I did the green was obviously because the most important thing here is the grass. Because without the grass, you wouldn't have the horses eating the grass, or the grass seeds, or the shrubs. Without those primary producers, you've got nothing. So it all depends on that base level. So if you guys go ahead and look at my label there, I labeled it the American Great Plains as my biome. So good to have my label there. But now I wanted to make some label cards for my primary producer, my secondary, or my primary consumer, or my primary producer, my primary consumer, and my secondary consumer. So obviously the green is going to be the grass. And on the back I'm going to write primary producer. The fundamental base of the food chain is the grass. Okay. And for the next one, I'm going to use the horses here. And so the wild horses are going to be my primary consumer. So wild horses, primary consumer. And then my cougar, mountain lion, which is going to be my secondary consumer. So there is my cougar, secondary consumer, and of course I did that one in red to represent the eating of the flesh of the horses, because cougars as secondary consumers eat the wild horses eat the grass. So this is a food chain. I could literally use paper to connect these here if I wanted to. So that is the very basic sort of crafty part of the build your own biome. But let me talk to you a little bit more about the grasslands and why I chose them. Well, I chose them because we were so into horses and unicorns, and horses are great. And so I chose them for that reason. But I got lucky that I had a cougar mountain lion here at school to work with, as well as the trees. So the grasslands of the American Great Plains have a wide range of weather. There are cold, harsh winters and very hot and humid summers. And the wind speeds are very high. They can get up, especially in the wintertime. Of course, there's a part of America called Tornado Alley, which is in the Great Plains. These are flat grasslands with very few forests or anything like that. And that's, of course, why I did the northern Great Plains, because you do find more forest land areas in the northern Great Plains. So this is actually set in a place like South Dakota, for example. There are approximately 450 species of grass. That was really interesting. And I did do my research to find out that the mountain lion or cougar did in fact eat wild horses, and wild horses do in fact eat the grass. So moving forward with your build your biorama, I want you to get creative. I went ahead and looked at some examples of bioramas online and found some interesting ideas. I decided to go with the sunset here with the cougar chasing the wild horses because I thought that was just very interesting. And I love the fact that I've got a whole setting here. And this is three-dimensional. Like, you can't, this is great. So the creativity here, I'm actually really impressed with myself. I did not think this was going to turn out as well. I love the setting sun that I have with the forest there. And I love that I just used an old shoebox to do that. Now, what I should do to make it more sturdy, do you see how it's sort of flimsy here? I should get a piece of cardboard and put it underneath there and paste it down. And yeah, but I will be sharing this for my biorama when we do share time later in the week. I really want everybody to finish and build a biorama this week so that we can share them and talk about our biomes. I think these are fabulous because you've got the primary producer, the grass, the primary consumer, the horse, and the secondary consumer in the mountain lion. So thank you all for listening to this presentation. I hope you have fun building your bioramas. Bioramas were great. I really enjoyed this. I think that learning needs to be tactile and fun, and as a Montessori teacher, that just is second nature for me. I love doing this. Don't worry, kids. I will make sure that when I'm done with the project that I will remove and clean up the horse's hooves as well as the mountain lion so that we can reuse them again when we do any other work with horses, especially that Mongol unit that we typically do every year or every other year. So here's my biorama. I hope you enjoyed it. Let's hope that this mountain lion / cougar does not get that little one at the end there. And let's hope that the wild horses escape. But sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. That's Mother Nature. Thank you.